Already. What is coming in that stream? 1 second. Why is there a stream? There is. Man, I love StreamerBot. Make this a little bit smaller. I don't know why there's some noise. I can't hear it. Let me. Yeah, I don't. Okay, let's go. So today we're just doing more API stuff, integrating more of the services. I renamed the thing that we were doing. So I need to check, make sure the launcher still works, or the updated launcher. Because right now it's not logging in because it's the old version. We need to fix it. As I think it's updated, but I think I need to update the launcher itself. Yeah, so live is going to become testing instead, and we're still going to be using testing. Yeah, it goes good. How's it going, Mungalo? We're optimizing stuff this week. And the result of that has made the client much faster. We went from nothing to like 300 FPS on the client, which is great with all the smart, like the very early optimizations. But as I'm getting the assets in, setting up those visibilities and stuff, it really goes to show what I'm going to need to do for our tooling in future. I'm going to write some tool scripts that automatically go through meshes and set visibility depending on what type of asset it is, whether it's external asset or internal space station ship component. What do you mean doing it? I only have one project running. So like everything, I'm going to be spending most of the time working on assets. Assets, game design. I used AI last night to build a new little system for a wiki. And I think it's good because it's all Markdown files. Like the whole system is based on Markdown. Like it's just nested Markdown in folders. And it uses .NET to build it into a static HTML file. And it's been pretty good. Like this is it here. It's called Unforgiven docs. And I'll give you an idea of how this works. Like I wanted to make something so simple that it would literally just be like a template that I can control. And then it has a viewer. So this is all the JavaScript for like the dependencies, and this is the CSS for it. This is all that it is. And in this docs, we literally just have any Markdown files. And as long as there's an index.md, that's like the main one. And then for everything else, if I create like a ships folder, and I create a ships.md, which matches the same name as the folder that we've created, like planets, matches planets, here's another planet. And I just do a build, right? It just builds everything locally. And what this means is there's no hosting, there's nothing crazy like that. This can exist on a GitHub repo. And then this is the output. So this is all automatically just baked. So I want to start putting in all of my thoughts and ideas into a system, but I want it to be... I've gone through like a million iterations of this in the past, thinking about it, using MediaWiki and Wikipedia. Then I hate MediaWiki syntax. I just like Markdown. I just want it to be simple, right? Markdown, that's it. And now all these little like categories, like here's like test support, right? Anything that's Markdown, it supports images. And it's all relative path to root. So like this tri-laser that I added with some information, if I go to open this up as an example, so like ship weapons tri-laser, right? Like the image tag is just the image tag. It's just whatever it is, media tri-laser, which will show up even in the editor because it's all relative, right, to the root. And I thought, you know what, this is perfect. You know, tables, text, and then all I literally have to do, I can create like a Mongolo folder, put like, you know, gizmo inside it, and if I make a mongolo.md, then that becomes like the landing page for each of these categories. So it has dynamic, right, a ship's landing page, it's got breadcrumbs, it generates automatically. So like planets, here's like a Vespa, like a test planet. And now instead, this way I can utilize AI with my writing, like to kind of go through and think about what I want, and then you can read, you know, like all of this existing Markdown and kind of help iterate. Right, that's like the idea. So a system that just stick it on the Git, you know, on a Git repo so other people can help do writing if they want to. And it's just a GDD generator, so it either like if the index has links, they'll just be added as a, like if you were to do something more flat, you can just do a GDD. But if you want to add folders, then and then not have anything in the main table of contents, like if the index doesn't have any links in it, then you'll just get the hierarchy. So it has some rules, right? But the rules are really simple. There must be an index.md. That's like your main landing page. The index.md can have links, which will automatically get, you know, categorized into like a table of contents. And folders must match the same MD name if they want to have their own index. Otherwise, they'll just be like a category. And I figure, you know what, you can't get any simpler than that. And the JavaScript and stuff that's loading here, it's very dumb. Like all I'm doing, you know, to get rid of cross-version stuff is just. If you look at the code of this, like, you know, it's the build script just runs build.cs. The whole thing is one CS file, and it's just one CS file that just kind of goes and builds up the config. Like there's this little config.json for which, so you can, you know, create a custom logo and a custom, you know, title, and then your theme is old school. You know, you just whatever theme you want. It's in the style. So you don't need to know it. You know, if you have a little bit of web development, you know what I mean, you could edit the CSS that's there, but you know, it just builds this bundle, this docs bundle, and builds up all of the stuff into static content. That's all it does. Right? That's its job. Its job is just Markdown is the only source of truth, and its job is to statically just build up, right, the data from the index, and not worry about it. Like if I send you this one file that has everything in it, and even like, you know, like the rules are very simple. Like put media in the media folder, and link them from media. So I just, there's just a build script. You just run it. That's it. Boop. You just need .NET 10, because you don't need to compile .NET 10, right? In .NET 10, you can run one CS script, literally just .NET run, you know, whatever. And so I figured, you know what? How much simpler can you get? Edit. You know, go in and edit the doc. You know what I mean? Run the build. You know, run the build. And then, you know, there you go. So that's my GDD that I started, or GDD generator. It's like there's a Python. Obviously, there's Python code generators and stuff I've seen that are probably easier to use, maybe. But I mean, I thought this was pretty straightforward. Because my headspace, I need to be here now. Like, what are the planets? What are the things? So, you know, you solve one problem, and now you're like, okay, well, we got the performance kind of down. We need to work on gameplay. There we go. So now, this is now the dedicated server. I'm trying to get baked lighting in here for this interior, but it's got all the details, right? But look at this thing. This thing is running great now, right? 240 FPS, 250. Now, like again, right? Like, you know, all the IK stuff is working. It's nice. It's quick, right? Animations and all that stuff will need work, obviously, but like the cool thing here, most of the frame rate, like I'm getting 500 now because of all the visibility culling. Right, the most of the the biggest performance issues was ship flight and ship navigation and stuff that's server side, because the server controls the NPCs and the server is controlling, obviously it has authority over NPCs and ships, but it only needs to run NPCs and ships, right? It's only doing their physics calculations, right, at the server tick date. But the cool thing is the server doesn't have any visuals; they're all stripped. So the server only needs to do that. So client frame rate ends up being great because of it. And right, so you rack up to 400 FPS, even if I like were to full screen this. Right, it actually feels like as a build pretty good. Like all the new dynamic loading of the panels is working. And like some smaller stutters, like when we're spawning in all the cargo for the first time, or spawning in the ship. No idea where the ship is, because so my goal now is just kind of get it back so people can play it. You know, get you know, make the build playable. People can get into this, you know, state of the game, and give them credits and give them some daily objectives. I want to do like a daily objective system that kind of. For anyone who is testing, if they want something to do. Where's the other, the other one? Oh yeah, the other hangar is on the other side of the commerce module. Or is it? Closed off? Oh, they're over here. Not this one, not this one. And I need to make sure the right ships are spawning. It looks like we're still getting the gray box ships. Yeah, there we go. But, you know, it's cool seeing things kind of coming together. Gotta fix that. There's intentionally low gravity in the hangars, but... Yeah, but I'm excited to actually be working on the ship and stuff, like, while, like, in multiplayer. I think that's going to be, like, super cool now that it's working. Right, so it's cool. We have the framework of a video game, everything fully working in multiplayer. I'm logged in on the dedicated server. We can do missions on it, and they all seem to be working. Just want to check and make sure that the ships are actually still spawning somewhere here. Maybe not. We'll have to check. And like the distance of everything away is actually working, which is fantastic. Like, this gives me a lot of hope. You know what I mean? That all the LODs are working, right? The models that I have created, which are like, you know, like the 2 different truck stops, like none of their interiors are rendering. You know, like I'm in an isolated part of this little system, and they're still loaded in. They're still over there, but you know they're not doing any damage. You know what I mean, GPU wise. That's absolutely great. You know what I mean? That the closer I get to what I feel is going to be a success at you know, a 1060, you know, all backlighting, other than the sun, just, you know, 1060, 60 FPS game, the better. So we need to do a build. We need to figure out why the launcher. Yeah, so the launcher was fine. Oh yeah, right. We can delete these old ones from last month. I don't know why the console version ended up with a Godot icon. Oh, maybe it didn't update? Right. I don't know. Yeah, so let me relaunch the launcher project. Like, I want it to be stable enough now with the automations. Did you see it? Did I show you it? Did I show you this, Mangala? Did you see my Mercedes project? I got some weird settings messed up on the yeah. Let me show you my Mercedes project. Gotcha. So this is my Godot. This is my custom Godot NVIDIA Mono double build. Look. I got performance running through the roof, but I can't get the DLSS filtering option now working. So I have like amazing FPS, like super amazing FPS, but without it being clean. So what I've been playing around with is how detailed. Like, look at this. You know what I mean? Look at the the refraction next to this thing. But look at the mirrors. You know what I mean? I'm looking at the mirror in the mirror in the mirror. Right? And let me just show you. Let me hit play. Oh, not this one. That's not the one. Not the one. Not the one. Not the one. This one. Right. So I set up this world with a pure, like, refraction, and like look at how good Godot can look, man. Look at the light change when the doors close. Look at that. Right, now there's still a light, there's a light here, like the refraction, this material, this double-sided material, isn't behaving correctly. There's some weird behavior. Similarly here, right, like I'm seeing, like the skybox is fine, but the LB, like the transparencies are being weird. Right, we're refracting the interior of the car correctly, and the fact that it's kind of Z fighting. But there's only two planes here, but they're working against each other, right? Because it's on. Like I went in and verified that transparency is on for them, but it's behaving something about the material itself. Because trust me, I've been messing with this. It's been so it's on depth prefast, right? But even if I go to alpha instead of depth prefast for the right, like it still doesn't work. Like, you know what I mean? Like right, it's only that one material, and it's a double-sided material, right? But for some reason, it's not doesn't work on the thing. Yeah. That's what I think. I would need to feed it like a custom alpha shader and like feed in some type of. It does weird things and starts crashing the game when I mess with it. Because the pre-pass should have worked, but anyway, I can restart it. But anyway, look, it looks great. What's that above it? No, the actual alpha value, change it. Where? Let me relaunch it again. But yeah, so I don't know where I can set it here. So here, should I do just a custom, like make it unique, and then like yeah, let me make it unique here so we can mess with it. So, were you saying do the alpha, or do I actually need to plug in an alpha? The transparency. You can't see it now. 1 second. Burp. Did it change this back to alpha? Oh, do you want me to get it here? Okay. Let me actually put this back on depth pre-pass. And so at that value, there's like a slight range. Right. Okay. Yeah. There's like a slight range. Oh, yeah. It's weird because it wants to reflect the inside of the car. It's kind of like It's either like reflective or it's like not. Like it either ray traces, you know what I mean? Like you get all the reflections. Oh yeah, so we can like kind of bring it to like an alpha, but it's still kind of you know what I mean? It's still kind of weird. Looks great though. Yeah. I totally see it because it's so cool, man. Like seeing the reflections. But we are getting the light coming in, so maybe I will just set that and leave it, and then restart it again. As soon as as soon as I close out those properties, yeah, we'll just leave those tinted. Yeah, like look at how I just love how good this looks, man. Right, like this looks awesome. Because there's a lot of nice PBR materials. This is a Sketchfab model that came from a showcase, and ironically enough, very close to my car. And yeah, I love this. I think this is amazing. Yeah. So that's the issue. I had this working, but at a really low frame rate, and I have the DLS turned on, but I have like something I did with the project settings or the editor settings. I missed with the DLSS downscaling or something. There was something I did with it. Maybe no, that should be project settings. Right, so I have these DLSS presets. Right, so like relax mode, I have no idea, but these are all like a part of the DLS presets. F seems to run great. I don't know what F means. It's just question mark. F, G, H, I have no idea. And then there's DLS Ray Reconstruction, which I'm hoping is the DLSS cleanup aspect of it. No idea what setting. You know what I mean? And sometimes you change it and it just crashes, and you're like, NVIDIA, I don't have a clue. You know what I mean? Like, I've got it to a point where like this runs the best. These are the best settings that run the best. I have no idea. You know what I mean? How to kind of streamline it in any way. You know? Yeah, because here, let me find. Because my scaling is set for DLSS. Everything is set for DLSS if I can find it. But I feel like it was under like rendering device. No. Yeah, there's a debugging thing, DLSS preset, renderer. Nope. Let me find it. I think it was under scaling. No, it's here. It's here. It's here. It's here. It's here. It's here. It's not on. It's not on. Well, one of the options wasn't on. Let's reload it. Nice ship. How much mass can it push in its front engine? I'm not sure. I haven't done the math. Oh, nope. It does not like that setting. Oh god. Yeah, like it's just spamming right now. It's like nope. I'm gonna get it back working where it was, and I'm gonna leave it alone. Maybe already. Let me check the environment settings real quick. I don't see anything else here other than the standard ray tracing settings, but I've gone through those as well. I think I'm just missing something. But either way, it's cool to see that it's actually coming along, you know? Yeah, that's pretty much kind of what my observation as well. Someone said it wouldn't be a lot of work to put into the main build though. Like what they did wasn't a lot of work or something like that. Like with it, just wanted to see. I had to clean up my desktop, man. There's so much stuff here. And if I'm my configuration for the launcher, there's a build script here that I need to run. I think it's this one. Unforgiven Space Launcher 1.1. It's probably up the build of this. Source. Builds launcher. Did we do an export of the launcher? Let me just do a re-export of the launcher. Builds. Unforgiven Space Launcher. Oh yeah, right. I forgot I did Linux. Oh my god, I forgot this works multi-platform. I forgot I spent like a week working on getting the launcher working on Linux. For the Linux build. Export. So where does it want it from? Yeah. Builds. Unforgiven Space, launcher. Well, it wasn't working. It never had Linux support for the launcher itself. Oh yeah. The guy who made it said that there were some AMD fellers pulling at the code. Gotcha. But why wasn't it working prior? It just didn't have support for Linux. It didn't like. There was only one location for like. There's no build manifest. No difference between them, right? No, it's all using all .NET standard libraries. Even like for Delta patching, like there's like a .NET rsync package. Like there's nothing non-cross-platform. It was literally just that the launcher would just always download the the Windows build, and there wasn't a literal Linux build of the launcher. That's all. I just never set it up. No export. Oh. Yeah. I've obviously not updated this. Why did I still do the console version? Let me make sure that actually. $9.50. Okay, that's fine. Finished. Where does it output? Play. Unforgiven launcher. Sure, just gonna reinstall it. Yeah, it's weird. So why is it going in program files? Hang on. So we log in. It's still saving into the Godot directory. Sure. Okay, so there's live and testing. Yep, sound for space. Sure. Update. Looks good. I hate that it's like over a gig. Wait, we're kind of into the negatives? Oh, right, yeah, because it can't track the file size over. Yeah, okay. So let's just see. I don't think this is the latest version at all. No, it's not the latest build at all. Let me see where the client is going. So Windows client. I think I think I need to move it into. I'm gonna get some water while we're waiting for this. Where are you going? So it's honoring the Windows Desktop release, which puts the build for Windows Desktop Runnable in builds in the channel. The universe and Unforgiven space, channels testing. Unforgiven space, yeah. So that should be where it's pushed. Builds, channels, testing. And this build, yeah, okay, now it seems to be working, was updated. Yeah, 9:57. And then, okay, so let me read launch. Where does the output of this go? Where does it save the build of the actual launcher? Like, it creates the uninstaller, it creates the launcher. Okay, I found it. Let's just say C drive, apps. And this should be the build of the launcher. And this was built at 9:53. Okay, good. So this is the updated launcher. So I'm gonna post this one on Patreon. Patreons. Okay, so launcher testing range. So let's throw that one here in the Patreon folder. I don't know how this one's gotten so small. And let me I'm going to do a reinstall. So this should be good. Close this. So do a repair. Run the launcher. Log in. Patreon. Testing build. Update. Right, unless the play, like, unless it didn't actually bring in space. We'll check the build ID when this one's done. Okay, we're good. So the game. Oh, okay. It still has the old PCK. I bet, you know what? I bet you there's still in the launcher a hard-coded setting for the play button. Right. So if the custom executable name is set, right? If there's a custom game path and a custom executable name, Hmm. And overall, this shouldn't be exporting the launcher, the console. We don't need the console. Right? Export console wrapper, no. Four. Okay. And then we'll run the build. And we'll compile a new build. Yeah, I don't know where the input is. Like the output, like it says output, we're gonna go into C drive Unforgiven space. Oh, okay. We're getting it from builds and we're going to C drive. Okay. Good. Mm-hmm. Let's just change this to push it to the same directory. Yeah. And then let's do a build. Yeah, so now it'll build it here. It'll reinstall it again, so I have the actual local version. Okay. Testing branch. Update. Still re-downloading. I shouldn't re-download it. The build already exists, but we'll fix that later. Let's just make sure that it's actually working. So this should now launch Unforgiven Space. There we go. And then this should be the main build now. Yay, there we go. There's still a build mismatch. Uh, 24. What version? So this is built on the 24.657. So that's a 657 build. the server build that we did. Oh, it doesn't show the build numbers on Linux. Weird. I feel like that should be compatible. No, I can tell it's a version mismatch because we're not getting the. Mm. I know there's no profile on this one launched. So the server version is 657. We didn't push it the best to live, right? No. Yeah, they're both 657. So they're the same. So why is that build not connecting? Let's go and disconnect. So I trust that the launcher's working. So we just play multiplayer. If we just directly connect. Right, I'm sending my client authority, revere, myself, my position, my gender. But it's not loading me in. And let's just run it locally. Oh, it might do that. 1 second. Gotta fix the IK stuff sometime. Alright, let me reset. Why is the reset being weird on the server character? Chat's not working. So say I had a bunch of people left logged in. So you can be a local server, but I want this secondary character to actually connect to the dedicated. No client resource man for the peer. We're getting a nice clean join. Right, we find the next, yeah, so we say, hey, Revere's trying to join in. Finds the closest star, so we know what star system ID to load in. Star system is loaded in, okay. Then we get a weird error, we just can't, no client resource fan for the peer. Yeah, so the client was removed from the server. The new client was spawned. We were getting our client, not getting our player. But we did get our player spawn here for this peer ID. I don't think we need a client resource. So we're not finding the client for the player. The client hasn't been registered yet. So we just have like this weird edge case where the client is connected. We just found their player on. So when we join, we join. I clear the logs. Yeah, so just getting no client peer, so we just watch this in real time. Yeah, so we're trying to our player is spawning too early. Okay, so it'll be the player spawn function. Responding to player avatar is one thing. It's its own thing in the same way as ship. It's its own thing. There's a separation between what the client is and what the player is, or what the player could be a vehicle or a ship or vice versa. The client can exist, and the client can spawn in the player. But in this case, yeah, I'm gonna clean up a lot of this stuff. I call connection to client players the player representation, and their thing is a space game, like is the avatar. Same, yeah. There's a lot of weird nuance here though, because I wanted the client spawner to kind of keep track of this client's array on its own when it spawns them in. That's why I've commented this out. The server is doing a lot of weird things still from before I refactored this. I do a really sick thing now with my player data. What's that? Allows me to, for say, UI write code as if it were single player. Player manager spawns in a player object on the network that holds player data, public and private. Private is only sync between host and client. That's the player. And the data it holds uses properties but custom setters. That's network synced. Cool. Save if player takes damage. The public health value is changed by the host on host. And this thing's across the network. I got you. Yeah, it's weird that we're not getting the lack of player data. And on that specific player, the data also has been put as local player. And when it's setter on the health value changes, it raises the local health change event, and that's how my UI changes. No RPC. I do the same thing per se, but like it's just data on the player and the authority. You know, I mean, as long as you're broadcasting the RPC to the authority to update the data, the on change syncs it anyway. And then I just use regular UI singles. So like when that data changes locally on any player anyway, right? It just emits, you know what I mean, the on health change that, you know, the UI would be listening to anyway. Yeah, it's weird that behavior isn't happening here. This one is stuck in like a free cam apparently. Hello, free cam. Thank you. Why is the free cam not going back? Basically delivering as much as they can to avoid RPCs as such allows me to just write code that can ignore the multiplayer aspect. Yeah, the only thing is the player data listens to child enter tree and exit tree since the peer ID is set on the player data before it joins the tree, the peer ID that matches. The game instance also picks up as local player. But this is how let me just show you how the new system works with the nested spawners. And I guess I don't know what's up with the client ID, but this is kind of how it works now. and it's supposed to be waiting. Like I don't know what's up with the dedicated server. I think the dedicated server actually runs a unique scene. I think it actually does. It runs like a unique multiplayer scene, and I think that scene is not set up and it's like not behaving. But when you join now, the idea is a server, even though the server does have a player representation of itself, which is not rendered on the dedicated server flag. This server is here in empty space, right? The server player. So there's literally, they're just in nothingness, right? And then when someone goes to join, right, and there's already a profile set up. The profile is kind of like local. Let me just change this to the wide. So the second we join, the server sends the local position of where that player was to the client or to the server, and then the server, you know, will bring in their last known position, which was just in space for this character, and then of course this guy is now, you know, the world has loaded up around him pretty much, right? But the server character is not meant to be a character anyway. But the idea is a server spawner. The server has a star system spawner, and it can spawn in the star system and all of its children pretty much dynamically. And when there's no players around, if I join in again now, I should actually just load in and go back to where I was, right? So the client and server only builds whatever it needs around itself. So the only thing I initially need to send is the player data that comes from the API that says this was my last known location, and then the server will gracefully load in that star system, all of its children, it uses nested spawners correctly, and everything kind of works. And then once the players go offline, once both players go offline, and there's no reason, there's no active player other than myself, the server can then despawn all those things, and it cleans up all the game objects that are children, right? All the, you know, all of that star system ships, right? NPCs, stations, and then the second a player goes to play again on the instance of the server, right? And they send in their last coordinates. Like that's like the client data, right? It loads up the client data, then it spawns in their player. So it should never spawn in a player early, you know. And now everything in this like test scene, including like our little prison system here, should be all working. Well, in this case, I died and I didn't get a crime stat. Oh, actually, that crashed it. Yep, that absolutely crashed it. Interesting. Let's see what happened. Didn't say, but it caused it to disconnect. Interesting. I have, yep, for NPCs. See, it's gracefully loading everything in fine. Right, the goal is to always wait. Now if we reset, we'll go back to the... Because there'll never be more than the amount of NPCs that I've kind of already kind of established. I gotta figure out why death is on the server sometimes resetting the... So every now and then, depending on the state you die in, the gravity doesn't reset. But everyone like seems to be spawning in fine, right? Like when I'm running it just here locally. I'm gonna crash the server again though. Let me. I'm gonna enter the. I think it's crashing because it's asynchronously trying to find a prison system to put you in, and then that fails. Interesting. It's really weird. It's like literally always a few seconds, and yeah, and this like locks up the server and completely dies. It's like after we respawn. So we're gonna add all these to our ClickUp. I'm not gonna worry about them. They're gonna be a tomorrow. But I wanted to get the launcher working today. We'll start with all the min issues. So, thank you for the follow, Pon X Pon. So, player respawning the medical bed after hitting crime zone. That's what it's just a test crime zone. It was causing a server crash. And then dedicated server. Client ID. Or sorry, client resource data. Data not found on server. When attempting to spawn client player, the race condition. So for now, for continued testing, let's actually go into the other scene. Because there could very well just be a situation where something is missing in the new universe online. Yeah, so let's run this one. Okay, so here all the NPCs are working, they're all going to their own ships. However, let me see if I can reset over to that one. Yeah, so all of this is working. Hello, other player. Ship components are not working on the server. Or it's like too dark or something. Okay, delivery missions are good. So something is causing the ship components panel to fail. The item components here are working fine. Okay, these are still local. No, these wheels like bugged. Okay, so the handgun. How are you doing, Pawn? How's your day going? Are you also a Godot developer? Yeah, even here now for some reason, Client 2 never did, like everything is synced, but Client 2 never did get their player. Yeah, because there was no client resource found for them. Some weird mismatch. Same thing where the peer ID using has changed and it's not valid. I have no idea how to fix it, but Yeah, the other thing, the projectile speed is so high. Yeah, when the peer is connected, or we just spawn in the client. The client should then exist by the peer ID. Hey there, I've never seen your channel before. How you doing? Doing good? I'm doing great. Oh, what are you doing? I'm working on a multiplayer game. So it's like a Sea of Thieves in space, right? Where you buy, you know, you buy goods, you know, like a little space weed here, or you know, metals and all those things. You throw them on your ship, and you bring them from A to B. You know, so you're kind of doing drug running, smuggling, silent running. We can do legitimate things as well, of course, right? Like it's a reputation based. You got a bit of mining. There's a mining aspect, resource gathering, right? So where's the let me just jump into the looks really cool things. So like let's turn this off real quick and sort of run the test scene. Gotta get the audio like not loading. So you're seeing a lot of just placeholder stuff right now, right? But that's what we're working on. We're replacing the you know the main a lot of the main like graphics and stuff. But you could do like, you know, delivery missions, which are like pick up and drop off locations. Just we're in the middle of merging a lot of like stuff together. And you know, you can pretty much have your own little like apartment in the game, fully customize it. You see like all these ships here that are spawning. So every NPC has its own like life cycle. So if you look at all these NPCs, like this is like, you know, RZ, they have their own stats. RZ is heading to his own ship, but we can like in this ship there's random cargo, so I can actually take this early. Right, and so all these ships have like dynamic cargo in them, and vice versa. Right, and they're just moving cargo from like A to B and flying around and doing their thing. You know, it's think of like a first-person freelancer game. Right, so you know you go up to the terminal, and depending on how much money you have on you, everything is like diegetic. So you have like how much credits. Ignore the, like I said, hand animations and stuff. Very poor right now, right? But you know, all the goods, you just load them up, put them on your ship. And we have like different types of ships. So we have like, you know, like we have fighters. And we have our, of course, main ships. But the idea is that these ships are fully upgradable. So you can like upgrade all the weapons. It's all physical. So you can literally just like put the ship on a ramp and open up the bottom panels and swap out everything. You can swap out coolers and change your quantum drive and everything, all your ship components. Sounds like a cool game I'd play for sure. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, that's the idea, right? Is the fully modular system. So like if we're right, like if we're here and we're like on this, like test station, like the comm arrays, we can find them here. Like actually like are important. They actually like hook up to the ship. So like here I have like a visual debug. So like the comm systems will actually like hook up to the ship systems around you. So like ships are very dumb. They're very 80s. Like it's a very 80s universe. And if you're hooked up to the comm network, your ability to do navigation like between different star systems or between the different stations, right, and to report crime that's happening, and vice versa, is very easy and fast. But if you're disconnected from this network because you're a criminal, solo dev, yep, then of course you have to have those routes on your navigation computer. So that's how the system works. So this encourages you to not only like pirate ships and stuff, but to actually go and pirate the navigation data for different star systems and build up the ship computer pretty much on your ship. Okay, so right now, like we're getting like really crazy performance issues and stuff. I've been in the process of porting over a lot of the art assets from Unity. Originally, this was in a Unity project. And so there's a lot of stuff that's now being just being final arted and worked on, and getting it to a point where it looks cool and it's all kind of playable. It's coming together. Yeah, that's the idea anyway. But like what I want to kind of get to right now is I want to get back to this kind of level here. So like, see all these nodes? These nodes here are exactly the same as nodes that are on your ship, and they take in like serialized data. So like when you rent a room, you get one of these. So it'll be like Aiden. It'll show like your own little kind of like your own little room on the space station, and you can bring in furniture. You can like add a bar, bar light. Kind of fully customize it, like put in the couches and the TV, and these are all like actual ship habitation rooms. Or these are all the same components that you would find in the player transport ship, right? So they're the same as like, kind of like these modules, but just being like retrofitted, of course, to be used for the apartments, like same shower, same everything. But the goal is to focus on like the really focus on the sandbox of things. Like I want like to create, let's say, a reputation system with some space pirates, and you just go up to the bar, you know what I mean? And let's go back to this test scene here. Let me head over. So let's say you're here, right, and you come in, and right. So if you die, for example, you'll kind of like spawn in your own little kind of back the tank and little drain, and you kind of just give you some flows, right? Go and pay your dues, and then you have all your different stores. These are all just placeholder stuff, right? For like like different places you go and buy stuff. But you would like go to a bar and like chat with an NPC. It'd be on Steam, yep. But like the idea is that turn a lot of the props into interesting things like customization. So like for example, say you do a reputation with one of the pirates that act like a motorcycle gang, then you can unlock some really cool cosmetics, like some bar lights with one of the in-brand beer lights and stuff, and you could like just stick it in your hat. I kind of see it as having like that extra layer where like you can kind of customize like through the reputation system. You earn special weapons and abilities and things like that you can kind of utilize to give you a sense of play, and even though it's a multiplayer game, it's not meant to be like massive, right? Just you're playing with 16 to 32 players most. 24 probably will be like where we kind of sit at per instance. Like think like Sea of Thieves, right? Like in Sea of Thieves, how you're like customizing your ship and adding some cosmetics and stuff. That's the the idea is, if you put $100 in the game, you've probably gotten enough content to justify the price, and that's kind of what I'm aiming for. I don't want to make something that's just continuously you have the farm. Like if you reach a point where you've maxed out all the different skills and abilities and you've done everything, your reputation's maxed out, cool, maybe stop playing the game for a bit, take a break, go do something else, wait for an expansion of sorts where I add more content and like cool little things, right, to kind of do. I'm only one person, so I can only hope that the gameplay is fun in the sandbox that we create, and that it can evolve into something, you know what I mean? It's just, I'm one person, so it's we just gotta be very clever in how we like dynamically create a lot of the systems. But everything is economically bound. Like if we think of, like, even like let me. Yeah, it'd be impressive when it's done, like even everything from like how prison works, right? Like you're a bad guy, and you've waken up in prison, right? And just this flow of, you know what I mean? Like you wake up, you're like prisoner 857, please head to processing, and you have those turrets that you've seen before, like when I was running around looking at you, right? And you're just kind of heading off to this, area which will be fleshed out to be like a yard, picnic table type, benches and vending machines. You can see kind of a little bit of a prototype here, but with big like string lights and kind of like cages, like cage wire and stuff like that, like between these big sections, like overarching areas and above that are just not accessible. Like you're not meant to come up here, so it'll look like another layer of what we're already seeing, right? Like this inverted. But the cool part about these systems is they're meant to always think about the economics, always think about the gameplay. So when you're here, the mini game that you're playing is there's ship components that are spawning, and you're tack welding components onto them. Like it's tack welding them pretty much, and they're just spawning, right, 2 by 1 meter components. And you're just, playing the tack welding mini game. It's boring. You're in prison. You know what I mean? Like we're just penalizing you for a few minutes while your victim gets away. But the cool thing is, while you're here, if you take note of the things that you're fixing, right? The idea is that the station that has this factory hooked up to it would be producing those things at the cheapest rate. So it would be a really good place to go, right, to get the best discount. And if you were to go there, you could probably like see that. But if you take note of the things that you're doing while you're, say, in prison, because you got put in prison for doing something wrong, those are little details that I want to do, right? Like that's the whole, like my whole game philosophy revolves around like always having some type of systemic reasoning. There are things that we build, right? Like nothing exists for no reason. Like is the idea. Like some things are cosmetic, but like the shower has a mirror, and the mirror gives you access to the player customizer. It's easy, right? So do you need a shower in your ship? No, you could sacrifice it and have more storage, right? The bed allows you to log out anywhere. Just log out, save the game, pretty much. You don't have to go to a space station to do that, right? That's what the bed allows you to do. So is it worth 2 slots? That's up to you to decide. You always have a suit locker. Like the idea is when you like get the ship and you come in, there's just a suit locker, exit, and then you always have these panels. These panels give you a limitation of how many electrical components and how many ship components you can install. But all of this back here can be customized. That's the idea. So you can get more cargo space to move stuff, but then at less convenience. This is like the balance, But even this like little food module, if you interact with this thing, it has a personal storage that you can just throw stuff into. Like that's non-physical, like a non-physical storage, right? And this is literally just a spot to sit down. So if you're playing with multiple people, and they just want to have a place to sit, or if you want to do some passenger missions, then those NPCs would sit there just for now, because passenger missions would come later on. But this gives us enough in the medium size to prototype and work with the game and see how it goes, and you know. So that's the idea. That what we've been doing all like last you know, the last few weeks, or this week in particular, is now moving over all these art assets that were just gray box before. We don't want players spawning and, you know what I mean, just big test areas. Like we have a lot of these test areas that just have like, you know, some landing pads and nothing else, you know. It work. You can test the systems, you can buy cargo, you can do whatever, but you know. No, this is the only game that I've been working on. I've made many other games, but this is the only one I tend to release. Right? Like I've made thousands of prototypes and many online things, right? Like I've been hobbying my whole life, right? Like making these things, but I never like made something that I would consider releasing. So this is me putting everything. I'm putting everything into this, like my entire existence into making this game. Like I changed careers and jobs and everything to get the resources to make this thing. That's the idea, right? And it's funded by the community. We have a Patreon. It's Unforgiven Space, and right, it's just ever growing. You know, just not a huge membership, you know, system right now. Like $5 just gives you access to test the game. It's just as a support. Like there's no commitment. And when I say test the game, I literally mean like this is not playable. You know what I mean? Like you're suffering through the testing of systems. So you only support this thing. You know what I mean? If you you know, believed in it and you wanted to help the project. That's kind of the idea. Now, as it becomes more fleshed out and it's more playable and more stable and whatever, right, then you can almost consider it, but this is for literally just testing the dev builds, and they're truly dev builds. There's no we're not running a live service, right? We're running like a dedicated kind of test server for just testing, and it's bad, you know. It's meant to be bad right now because there's you know, the emphasis is always on just getting stuff done. So in that multiplayer, we need to see why the ship panel. It's really weird. It looks like the display has one, but maybe is it on the geometry override? Oh, it is. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, so a lot of the stream over the next while is going to be like bringing it back together again. Because it used to look like this. Let me show you an old Twitch clip. Yeah, under the videos. If you go to like the old Twitch stream and you go to the highlights, this is where we were before we switched to Godot. This one here, I'd recommend just kind of viewing it yourself, but this was like, you know, the working netcode, and this was a very old space station that we had created from before, right? We had all the guns in there, all the IK systems, and this is kind of like what the old truck stop used to look like. It had a lot of dead space. It was really bad. It wasn't what I wanted. they had a lot of issues. And same thing here. Like I didn't want people going out without a suit on. I wanted to convert everything in the hangars, you know. But this works. Like you can see like the zone. You know, you can go in the ships, and like the ships have their own little like individual zone that like relines the player. And, right, like I can I jump in and I kind of fly around and land and like, you know, just take over roles. And we've switched, you know, since then switched over to Godot. It's been great. I don't think we're gonna have any like real visual limitations or anything with Godot. I think, you know, Godot has been fantastic. But it's just now, like when I was doing it originally, I tried to work on the graphics at the same time as everything else, and in reality, I needed to build multiplayer systems first. I needed to kind of just get all the systems working, then worry about the art. And for a lot of the systems now are working, right? And now it's just putting the game together. Right, so like this, a lot of the core stuff, you know, was working before in the Unity, and now it's like getting it back, getting back to where we were, all the graphics and everything. And but most of these things are now ported. We're not using this. Yeah, I know it'll be cool. Like if I can get it to the vision in my head. And I know we're going to make a lot of compromises on the graphics. That's one of the things that I've been discussing. I have an artist. We're going to be redoing the like save these. Yeah, so what I'm going to be doing is kind of redoing a lot of the character models fresh, because they're assets, right? They're assets that we did pay a premium for the ones that I'm using for the male and female, not the Quaternius ones. Those are like CC0, but I'm getting someone to go in and actually like remake them. Like they'll be a lot lower poly, so they're much more. They're more painted. They're more like traditional, right? They're, you know, more, you can kind of see like basic, but that'll put it visually in line with, you know, kind of it being more of a, you know, kind of like an 80s anime type game, right? Like that's the whole feel that I want to go for. So the male is now finished, right? Yeah, everything has to be modular. That's by design, right? Everything has to be like fully modular. Right, that's gonna like make things easier for scaling and, you know, for all these things. And but right now, like what I want to do is get it back to a position where the Patreon. Before in Unity, we had our own little Patreon station. So all the people that were paying like $5, like there was always a build for them to jump into and kind of mess around, and we could like go and play pool together. You know what I mean? And just kind of. Right, like if you go over here, like I have a fully working pool game. Right, so I have all these mini games I've created, that I created actually just because we were prototyping, like we were building up systems, and the best way to kind of you know, figure out how a lot of this stuff's going to work is to build like some mini games. So I want something kind of like, you know, like Rebel Galaxy Outlaw, but like, you know, first person. I want to like. You know, I want you and let's say like, oh, what happened? Did it crash? Oh, yeah, it's just syncing. All right, so let me just make sure everything is updating here. Yeah, there is some new bug. Let me rejoin a fresh client. This is new. Yeah, so I'm back where I was. Let me reset. Now I'm back over here. So check it out. Let me. The other client is still there apparently. So you get you kind of get the idea. Like I want to have like some really fun kind of like pool like little mini games of things to do, but like the foundation's not like extremely like interesting, right? You're just a kind of a space scoundrel, you're just like a Han Solo type. You're nobody. Actually, the game kind of hates you if you think about it. Like you start off, you don't own your ship, right? You're just given a ship, right? You're given a crappy ship. It's like a rusty one. It's not even yours, right? And you're kind of, I wouldn't say grinding, but you're learning the systems, and you're gaining reputation. You're doing like really shitty missions to kind of get going, repairing satellites and doing stupid shit, right? But then you're working towards, right, like having the ship be your own, and then fully customizing it, and right, and having the ship kind of be that kind of characteristic, in a sense its own kind of character, right? It's yours. That is the idea. And there's different variants. There's mining ships, salvage ships, right? And then the cool thing is when you just go and take your buddy. Like I said, the seat animations are being weird. But everything is like working, you know what I mean? Like I said, other than like, I'm not focusing the other screen, so it's kind of hard to, when you're testing it here. But I want you just to be able to go and there will be planets, but there's not going to be the focus is not going to be like the procedural generation. It's going to be the landing locations. I just want to have really cool landing locations that are artistically created, right? That are specific to the environment of that place. You know what I mean? Like so there'll be like a sand planet and has a really cool like a duney style area, but it has exports and imports, right? It takes in water, a lot of liquids. It sells glass, crystal, right? Things you would make with sand, like with temperature, right? So really good optics, really good stuff for like building electrical components, stuff like that. But I want it to make sense without you having to read a screen. Like it's a water planet. What does a water planet have? You shouldn't need to have too much other than the world tell you like what what's important there. All right, so here we are, like on a planet, just two players. Right, there's nothing here, and this planet's way too low of resolution to kind of make a difference. So it looks kind of weird. Yeah, it's like the server references for things are not like client data is not being synchronized correctly is the issue. Did you work on any runtime mod stuff yet, like for the planets? In a prototype level, yeah. I work on a compute shader variant of it, but it's been so long since I played with it. Yeah, let's see what some of these are. I think there's anything. Yeah, so this is one that I was working on a while back. This is totally different. This is not LODs. This was a rendering technique actually. So what I wanted to do, and I bet you this probably won't work now. It's probably like so long. Yeah, because I'm not seeing it show up. Unless it's here. So. Nope. This might be it. Oh yeah. So this is a generator that I was working on. So I want to do like a Coruscant of sorts. So every one of these meshes that you see here, every one of these are using a noise value, and the performance is actually amazing here. So if you were to, let's full screen this. Can we not? Are you just going to be like that? Nope, it doesn't want me to full screen it. So every one of these meshes have a height value based on some type of population density. And I would think of them as having like a set of buildings on it. So each one of these is a mesh, a unique mesh. And what I'm doing is I'm actually rendering like it's kind of like a fully threaded, kind of like a multi-mesh system with the rendering server. And what's cool is this noise, this three-dimensional noise. I wanted to curve it and make it a real planet, but I can go forever. It'll keep generating. It'll generate and generate and generate and generate and generate. There's no limit to it. If I come up in the air, you can see how the clusters kind of spawn in. They really should be using like a spherical distribution, not like a cube, because you have all this compute that's happening on the side. But if every one of these in reality were like 32 meters, if they're 1 meter, right? They're just meant to be an example. They're a little 1 meter blocks, so it could scale to like 35 meters. And if every one of those were 35 meters, right, the view distance would be pretty much at this point, without increasing the geometry, fairly high. But I wanted to create like a system where, like, from the surface we could come down and have like this crazy whole bunch of random cityscapes, like pieces. And this would just exist as a background fill for an actual landing location, right? So it's just a system to, fill in a city with a bunch of Coruscant-y style, like areas. So it'd look pretty cool. And I took this and I turned it into a spherical version, but the spherical version is probably not working. It's been so long since I've been in the planets project because it's just not been a focus. It's I'm okay with it being spheres at this point, and the spheres can have a couple of locations on them. But in here, like in one of these projects, is all my compute work for actual log generation. I think it's just called Planet, the thing. And it was a while ago. Yeah, so this is... Yeah, this is some of the stuff, but it's not like... it's all piecemeal, right? This is a system that dynamically in runtime... why does this not scale? Stretch the fit? Hello? Thank you. So this is a system that creates a cache of physics objects, and at the end of the frame, like it moves them. So as you're moving around, it automatically generates trees, but it generates them with a collision shape, and it does it on the client, right? So as long as the seed and the noise is the same, then you can kind of like have things with collisions mixed in with the... And this system is similar to how the, like how planets themselves have a dynamic server side, collision shape to be able to walk on. But this is not it. This is not the one. I think it is here, but it's just yeah. I need to find what I do with it. I had to organize my shit. But anyway, I think that's it for the day. The launcher is working and it's updated. Yeah, this whole planets project is just going to get stripped down into a very basic player controller. It shares a lot of the old code with the main game, right? So I think we can kind of simplify it a little bit more. Just create some abstract classes to represent the player. Pretty hard to remember like a bit of old stuff. Yeah. But like a lot of work was done, and working on some planet stuff, and collisions are like fairly annoying. Yep. That was pretty much my understanding, like my observation as well, because they can't really be done on compute because they ultimately still need to become a jolt collision object. So regardless, they're still kind of CPU bound. So I'm pretty much using like the wandering clip map, technique. So every player, around every player camera on the surface of the planet, per player, so the server can do it. Right, we generate, based upon the data driving the planet, the collision shape, and we just kind of like move. Think of like patches of collision meshes, and then those. Think of it. It's more advanced than that, but think of like 9 collision like meshes, and they just kind of move in the direction of the player. Like 3 moves forward, 3 moves to the to the left, and it keeps kind of like, moving with the player. And then there's some like extra bounds to be like, okay, if you're actually within the planet radius, like whatever the planet radius itself is technically like an overarching collision shape. But if you ever were to fall through or something, then you would just get kind of brought back up. Yeah, because if you fall through, all you have to do is kind of like, bring them back up to the surfaces, the inner surface and the outer surface. Whatever your maximum range are 2 distance checks. And you could raycast back from that original point to figure out where on the surface they should have been if they fall through. So you can like rescue them pretty much, but I want to try to make a lot of that client side. But the server will still have its collision shape. It's source of truth. Exactly. And there's a difference too. Like once you're in an area, like an actual like city, like once you're in a location, then you're in the local domain of everything, right? It's just creating something that works really well with the height map that's stable enough, to just kind of get the job done. Yeah. But anyway, it's like 11:30 my time. I'm going to end it here on the YouTube, and then I'm going to go find someone to raid. And then we'll be back tomorrow to actually kind of dive more into it. We're going to fix those issues with the client data not sending. There's a bit of cleanup needs to happen on the code, but I want to work on the bar a bit more. I want to do some more art, but I want to get us playing together. So I want to get the server build up and working, with all the changes that we made from the gray box version, right? A lot of assets got redone, a lot of resources, right? Which reference a lot of game objects are now like kind of broken. There used to be a lot of asset databases, but they're all gray box, and we're like swapping them out with the non-gray box version. But now the item's kind of breaking or not found, or it's not spawning in a cargo box. It's just the resources need to be reorganized now that we've kind of merged them all together in the one project. So that's just going to take a week, I think, to just get reorganized again, so we can kind of just play the game together. I want to start kind of getting some of the Patreon members that are like part of the project to jump on, and just kind of play, and we can test together and just kind of like see it, do the find the fun, right? So I can actually start adding, right, gameplay loops. Because we did a pass, like we've been just doing optimization passes right now to get the clients running again, because some of the assets from Unity were way heavier than needed to be. There's just so much work just re-exporting everything, turning everything into like panels, and like the ship right now is actually only just they're just basic meshes. It's all normal maps, right? Like everything's been baked down. But that wasn't always the case. It was, there was level, like lotted everything. It was huge. Like, look at the ship, it's like 150,000 vertices, and oh my god, like so many draw calls, like 200 or 300 draw calls from all the different materials, right? That we had in Unity that weren't organized and baked in the one material, right? So you're going to see a lot of that now for a while as we like reorganizing assets, but I'll kind of like do a bit, clean it all up, focus on gameplay, do a bit more art, and kind of just keep going back and forth between art and systems is my plan.